Mark, hit us with a recap of the events of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 7, number 16, and as I said, that is also Legacy 980.
The comic opens with glimpses at our 4 core storylines: Peter Parker's apartment with Ben Reilly, Aunt May's apartment, Tombstone's mansion, and a secret lab in Midtown where Norman Osborn is located. All 4 of our characters are dealing with their own conflicts with Peter. Ben is stressed. May is getting messaged by someone concerned about her nephew. Tombstone knows something is up with this new Spider-Man, and Norman is battling his self-doubt. We close the sequence with some resolution. For Ben, this charade is gonna wrap up soon, in 2 weeks with a healthcare plan probably. May is inviting Jonah, the messenger, over to talk about Peter. Tombstone is planning on settling up soon, and Norman grabs his Spidey suit and goes out to do some web slinging. We continue fully with Norman, who repeats his mantra about taking on Peter's dream in his absence, but also acknowledges that he needs Spider-Man 2. Flashing over to Rand Enterprises, Ben/Peter and Brian celebrate the success of their experiment with Astrid. Brian finally stepped up, pulled an all-nighter, and delivered on his half of their experiment. Astrid drives the knife squarely in Ben's heart when she lets him know the name Peter Parker will be associated with changing the world. In Central Park, once again, completely empty, except for our main characters, perhaps because most New Yorkers have now left the city following the election of a communist mayor. Norman and Dr. O.M. try to continue their conversation from the coffee shop. Asmani finally reveals the secret about her son. He's dying. He's gone through all sorts of treatments, but it's only a matter of time. She asks Norman how he copes with losing a child. Still, Spider-Man duty calls, and Norman has to take off, gaining an appreciation for Peter's constant sacrifice, which meant putting Spider-Man responsibilities over helping a friend in need. The Spidey call brings Norman over to Tombstone and his henchman, Plague Prescription? RX? Dan, I'm gonna be real. Am I supposed to know this guy?
No, not really. I think he appeared 4 issues ago for a couple of pages with the Shocker. Kind of an abrupt introduction to this character.
So it's not even a first appearance. So I gotta, this comic has no collectible value. Sad.
First cover.
First cover, that's true. Okay, and it's a good cover. But before we get to that fight, May and her beau have a sit down with Jonah, where Jonah discusses needing to fix Peter. The men start talking about an intervention, but May interrupts the mansplaining with one of her more impassioned speeches in comic history about her nephew, his needs, and the fact that she's a mother and understands how Peter works. She tells them to get right off of Peter's back because he will return, where he'll get a nice kick in the pants from her, followed by some wheat cakes. So there. And Dan, you know about those wheat cakes. They're delicious, right?
Absolutely. Had them from you at my bachelor party.
That's, if that's not a scene out of something wonderful, I don't know what is. We return to Spider-Norman, Tombstone, and Plague Prescription. And Tombstone is like, seriously, what is up with you, dude? Norman answers in rigid, non-Spidey platitudes, which allows Tombstone to breathe a sigh of relief that this is not actually Spider-Man. So he then sicks Plague Prescription on him, and the two start throwing down. Plague transfers Shocker's pain from his prior fight with Norman to Norman, and it looks like fake Spider-Man is down for the count before he rallies and starts beating the crap out of Tombstone. He lets Tombstone know that his world is pain, which I'm pretty sure was Andrew Cuomo's concession speech, though I could be wrong. That clinches it for Tombstone that this Spider-Man ain't the real Spider-Man, so Norman swings off while hearing a distant laughter in his ears. As the voices in Norman's head remind him that he's a fraud, he admits that the whole charade is making him tired, leading him to question, what would Peter do? Meanwhile, Ben has accessed the experiment he and Brian completed. He stares at their names and decides to change the experiment's details, but we are left with no clear answer about what he did.